When it was announced that Doom was coming to the Switch during a Nintendo Direct last year, the internet collectively went crazy. You can find reaction videos online showing people's amazement that such a feat would be undertaken. This was a huge AAA release that was released on other modern consoles and PC less than a year earlier. Somehow id Software believed that this game could be ported to the Switch. At the time, the footage shown even looked pretty good. However, this port had more than its fair share of skeptics prior to release. A game like this was simply thought to be impossible to run on the Switch. Now that it has been released, and Wolfenstein 2 as well, it is hard to remember the time when the Switch was still new and in many ways untested. So, how did the port turn out? Well, id Software turned porting duties over to Panic Button, who prior to porting Doom was a relatively unknown developer. Now they are a household name among Switch owners for their ports of Doom, Wolfenstein, and Warframe. But when Doom released, the port was still somewhat on shaky ground. There was additional optimization needed, and it was clear that this port's time in the oven was cut somewhat short by the need to get it out during the holidays. That said, since it was released, Panic Button has continued to optimize and refine Doom, going so far as to increase average resolution and implement gyroscopic controls. So now, over a year after release, and several updates, how does Doom fare on the Switch? Well, pretty good actually. I tend to avoid first-person shooters on console due to the lack of sensitivity analog sticks provide. However, gyroscopic aiming is a godsend, and though not nearly as precise as using a mouse and keyboard, it is more satisfying. Being able to slay demons on the go, and in a way that is fun and accurate compared to trying to strafe to line up shots, makes Doom my favorite console version of the game. I have similar sentiments when it comes to Skyrim as well. Obviously, PC ports of these games give you the best visuals and performance, but then again you can't really put those experiences in your bag and take them with you everywhere, or even to bed to play for a few minutes before you go to sleep. The Switch port of Doom provides all of the same fun and excitement but in a portable form factor. It doesn't look the best, and it doesn't run the best, but if you are a fan of the game, you couldn't really ask for more. For me, this was my first time playing the game, after which I bought it on PC to play through there as well. The experience is all there, and it is every bit as fun. Killing demons is even more satisfying while using split Joy-Cons and aiming at their heads using the gyro controls. I know that there are some Digital Foundry videos made about Doom's performance on the Switch, but in my experience, most people aren't playing the game on extreme difficulty. I played through on normal and hard, and the frame rate nearly never deviated from 30 frames per second. I think once you get to hellish difficulties, like John with Digital Foundry is fond of doing, that's where the Switch is really put to task. In my playthroughs, however, performance was overall extremely good, albeit at half the frame rate of other consoles. Still, it is the gameplay that counts, and all of that is perfectly intact on the Switch. Doom really looks good in handheld mode, which is where I spent most of my time. I was playing the game on a flight and had a fellow passenger engage me in discussion about it. This person couldn't believe that Doom was running on the Switch. They were aware of the system, but they didn't know that the game was released for it. This was obviously a Doom fan. I sold a Switch and a copy of Doom that day. Now, about the game. I love it. I played through it on the Switch, and then after that, I went and bought it for my much more powerful PC. Both were great experiences. I love the varied environments, I love the story, I love the variety of enemies, I love all the action, I love the main character, and I especially love the music. The soundtrack is fantastic and worth listening to outside of the game if you really want to get your blood pumping. Doom provides tremendous replay value, be it in story mode, arcade mode, or multiplayer. In fact, Doom's multiplayer is thriving on the Switch. You must think Activision or EA is kicking themselves by now for not porting a Call of Duty or Battlefield game to the Switch yet. There's clearly an appetite among many Switch owners for multiplayer first-person shooters. Is this a perfect port though? No, it isn't. Visually and gameplay-wise, it is extremely solid. However, I continue to have weird technical issues with the sound. Sometimes it cuts out. Sometimes there are loud, jarring noises. Sometimes there is crackling. During glory kills, sometimes you don't hear the sound effects at all, which really takes some of the fun out of it. This is the only issue I have with this port, and it is kind of a big one. It doesn't happen all the time either, it is random. I'm not sure if that makes it better or worse though. Overall, Doom has a huge cult following, and I'd venture to guess that Nintendo sold a decent number of Switches to that fanbase, just to be able to play this game on the go. It really shines as a portable version of a fantastic game. This is a highly recommended purchase if you are even a tiny bit interested in first-person shooters.